Kind of sound radio. We're tuning in to change.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time it is in the world that you are listening. How's it going? You're listening once again to Meditation for Misfits, our second show, and the dulcet tones of your fellow Misfit host, Alicechinn. I am here every second Wednesday at 11 o'clock UK time. What is this show all about? Well, this show is pragmatic and playful at the same time, and always with a sprinkling of magic. And the idea for me is with story, with interviews, with mindful superpowers and live meditations, I'm here to empower Misfit kids and big kids to overcome suffering and to thrive and stand out as their truest versions. Because you know what? We were never meant to fit in. We were meant to stand out. So for me, I'm on a big mission to cultivate the community and the belonging that all of us Misfits have been searching for. Today is the second show. Last week was quite a personal show. I talked about my story. I talked about why Meditation for Misfits. I talked a bit about my work, and I even guided a meditation. And today I'm delighted to introduce a guest who is a former client of mine, who is May, who is 14. And before I introduce May, I just want to tell you a little bit about her and her story, and then we'll hear from her. So May is 14, and she lives with her little sister Violet and her parents just down the road from me. And now you'll hear that I have a Scottish accent perhaps, but I actually live in a wee town near Barcelona called La Floresta. So May was born here, but her parents are English. So when we worked together, we worked in English, and obviously we'll be speaking in English today. And at the same time, I know she feels Catalan because that she was born here. Some of May's passions are making music, playing guitar. She is an amazing singer, and actually we're going to hear one of her songs on the show today, which I'm very excited to play and to share with you. She also plays piano, and she loves drawing and painting. When May was 12, she was diagnosed with anorexia, and she was hospitalised for several months. And during her stay in the hospital, she was also diagnosed with autism and depression. So before I go any further, I do want to put a trigger warning and say we will be talking about eating disorders today. So if that's something that it wouldn't be healthy for you to listen to, then perhaps this is a show for you for another time. So May came to me when we did some private meditation sessions, and that was last year, because she was finding it quite hard to cope with a transition to like a regular lifestyle after being in hospital for so long. So in May's words, Alice helped me to develop tools to support myself with school and in moments where I felt I needed to take a step back and relax. She has helped me find that inner peace I struggled to find for so long, and ever since then, I've learned not to be too hard on myself and appreciate how far I've come. So settle back and enjoy this chat with May and I. We're going to be talking about her struggles. We're going to be talking about being different, and then how she learned to be guided by her own inner voice. And that is the title of the show today. So welcome, May. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. It's been an intense day, but
yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
It's been intense because you said you've got exams, right?
Yeah. I've been studying all day for my exam week, which I'm doing well, but I'm a bit worried about it.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned off air that you had exams, and I thought that at the end of this session, for those who are listening, if you've got teens, or perhaps if any teens are listening, definitely we're going to do some sort of short meditation or mindfulness tool that can help with stuff like exams, these things that can be quite overwhelming and that can stress us out, no? So May, this show is called Meditation for Misfits. We have talked in the past about what it is for you to be different, and actually I've got a quote from you. I asked you earlier this year, why do you think people are so scared to be different? And do you remember what you said? I'm gonna tell you, but do you have any idea what you said?
I can't remember.
You said, mostly because of other people's opinions. I've definitely been through that, but I realized that my real self is there. It's just inside of me. There's going to be people that are like me, so I don't need to worry. How does it feel to hear that now? And do you have a different take on it?
My notes, I think the same thing really. I wasn't expecting that to like come out of me, because sometimes I find it a bit hard explaining how I feel. So it's a bit of a surprise that I said that.
It's amazing that you said that. I think it probably gave me goosebumps at the time. So I refer to myself as a misfit. Like, what word would you use? Because that's my personal word. Like, what's your experience of being different, and what kind of words would you use to describe yourself in that way?
Well, words that I use to describe myself, like instead of misfit, would be like different or unique, special. Like, because, I mean, misfit is really like the whole meaning of misfit is like you don't fit into that stereotype. You're not like, everyone else. You rebel against things and you do it your own way and you do it how you think you feel, or you basically you let yourself like you do what you want, and then not to fit into this stereotype of other people. I'm not sure if I explained myself well.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect what you said, and what I really like about doing this show as well. The show is pre-recorded, but we're doing it in one take. That for me, it's really important that it's genuine and that we have like an informal chat, that it's not edited and we're just being ourselves. No, so thank you for answering that question, and for being, I don't know, it sounds very powerful, like your words, definitely. Like, how would you say that you stand out in the world? And is it difficult to be different, or is it something that you are facing more and more? I mean, I know definitely that doing sessions with me helped you in that regard, but that was a wee while ago. So I'm wondering where you're at now with standing out. If we turn it on its head, and like misfit is, maybe I would say some people might say it has like a negative connotation, but for me, I think it's a wonderful thing if we can embrace who we are, especially if that's being quite different. So I'll come back to because I probably asked you about 3 questions in one there. How do you stand out in the world, and how's that experience for you?
I think mostly what makes me stand out is my passion for music and art, which a lot of kids my age, especially now with phones and everything, they don't seem to be that interested. They're more interested in, how many followers they have, or, TikTok. But I would rather paint, or I would rather write music than be on my phone. So that's something that I think makes me different from a lot of people my age.
Absolutely. I know as well that you use music and art in general as like a channel to process stuff that's going on for you as well. Because you've worked with me, that I always talk about empowering young people with mindful toolkits. So obviously in the sessions that you did with me, we worked on specific meditation and mindfulness stuff, but I was definitely inspired by your passions and your interests. So would you say that music and writing and things are part of your mindful toolkit, and like how do they help you when you're struggling, or when you're feeling stressed, or when you're feeling that people don't understand you or something like that?
I mean, they're a big part of all that. Music is how I understand my emotions, because I find it quite difficult sometimes. So if I write music, I find that I'm able to understand it more. And for me, I just find it much easier, and it helps me a lot.
That's great. That's wonderful. So let's talk a little bit more about when we first met, and then you came along and you did some sessions with me. Can you remember much about that version of yourself? Because that was a different point, for you in your journey, in your life. It was over a year ago now. Like, what were your struggles at that time?
It's difficult because I'm just throughout that period, I sort of blacked out like everything. So it's hard to like understand myself then. I remember I was still struggling a lot with food and with how I feel, and like I was still very insecure. So I think that was the main problems when I first came to see you.
Okay. Do you remember much about any of the tools we did in the first sessions? I know we've talked about this before. That was in a different interview I did with you a few months ago. Do you remember any of the tools we did, or anything that we did in terms of meditation or breath or anything like that? And was there anything that surprised you about the stuff that we did?
Yeah, I remember we used some tools that were some breathing exercises that helped me a lot. We did like the breathing in and breathing out and like holding it for like a certain amount of time. And I still use that now, like before exams. So it's really helped me. And I mean, I always heard about it on TV, you know, like in the series, they're like, just do some breathing exercises. But I thought like, that's obviously not true. Like if everyone says it, like, then it can't be true. But then I tried it out and then it really helped me.
Okay. That's really interesting that you said that. So perhaps there was a little bit of resistance to start with, to think, oh, but something as simple as the breath, because it really helped me so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about like the breath being this ultimate superpower, right? Because it's something like no one really shows us how to breathe.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're doing automatically most of the time. And I like to say that the magic happens when we bring it into conscious awareness, no? So that's interesting. Talk us through, what do you do then? Because, you know, I'm not in your body. One of the wonderful things about my job is giving you tools that are matched to your stage, that are matched to your interests, that you can then make your own. And then you can use those tools for the rest of your life as you grow and you develop, right? So what do you do? Like, how do you use the breath before an exam? Like, talk us through it, because I know that there'll be parents listening to this, or carers, or aunties, or maybe other teens, and it's like, all right, well, yeah, I get really stressed with my exams, so I'd love a tip, you know, of how to use my breath. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And I can help you with this as well in explaining it if you want.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about the breathing exercise is that you can do it almost anywhere. So you don't need to lie down, you know, you don't necessarily need a quiet space. You can do it anywhere. So before I do an exam, I do it in the school bathrooms. I relax, and then that's it. And then I just go into the exam. I take like about a minute, and then then I'm ready.
What kind of breathing do you do? Because there's lots of different ways to breathe. Like, do you put your hands on your belly? Do you just focus on your breath?
I just focus on my breath, and I hold it for a few seconds, and then I release it slowly. And then I do that a couple of times.
Isn't that amazing? No, 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then you can be ready for an exam. Did you do that today?
Well, no, I didn't. I got given back exams today.
You got what, sorry?
I got my exams given back to me today. I didn't actually do them.
Okay. But did you do it before your last exam?
No, I didn't do it in my last exam because it was all a bit quick. Like the bell rung and then everyone was rushed into class. But I usually try to do it.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's great that you've got that tool there and you know when to call on it and when to use it, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're getting into the time for the first song. So we're going to carry on chatting after the first song. Now, in these shows, we usually play 3 songs. So it'll be like a 15-minute segment, then a song. And when I've got guests on the show, which is most of the time, then I love to ask the guests to choose the music. So we've got Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish, and I'd love to know why you've chosen this, mate, and why it's significant for you.
I love Billie Eilish. Like, I think she's a great artist. she helps me a lot with my music. Like, I get a lot of inspiration from her, and this is one of my favorite songs of hers. And I knew this song like a long time, but I never paid any attention to it until after I got out of the hospital, and I was like, I really resonate with these lyrics, and they're really beautifully written. So I think she's amazing. So
okay, I don't know this song very well. That has given me a bit of goosebumps listening to you there. That felt very powerful. So for anyone else who is listening to this, my invitation would be to, if you're multitasking, if you're cooking while you're listening to this, just stop and just sit back and listen. And while you're listening to the music, notice how it makes you feel. And I'm going to do that as well and ask May to do the same, and then we'll have a chat about it afterwards. So here we have Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish.
Kinda Sound Radio, the station for a global community.
Welcome back to Meditation for Misfits and the dulcet tones of your fellow Misfit host, Alice Chinn, here every second Wednesday at 11 a.m. UK time. This is the space where Misfits are free to stand out rather than to fit in. I am interviewing May, who is 14, who is a former client of mine who did some private meditation sessions. May is someone who has had an eating disorder and also been diagnosed with autism and depression. So we're going to go a little bit deeper in this section. But before we do that, it's important to say that if you've got comments or questions, please feel free to send us a message on Instagram. So we're on @kindasound, or we've also got a Telegram group, which is t.me/KS radio. This show is pre-recorded, but I am more than happy to get back to you with any questions or comments or feedback. Or if you've got any questions for May as well, then please reach out and I can speak to her and we can get any answers back to you as well. So welcome back, May. And we just had the beautiful Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish. And you said just before we played the song that when you came out of, you hadn't really paid any attention to this song, and then suddenly it really resonated for you when you came out of hospital. Like, what is it about that song and the words? Because there's some really powerful lyrics there. What is it about this song that resonates for you?
I think it's like, this song is like if two people were talking, because she talks about herself. And then there's like someone else saying like, no one will hurt you as long as I'm here. So when I think of that lyric specifically, like, as long as I'm here, no one will hurt you, I think of my little sister, because a lot of the time I feel guilty for being ill. So I feel like I don't want to project my illness onto her. So a lot of the times I feel like, because I've been ill, that she'll have it too. So I kind of think of her when I think of that lyric. And then the rest of the song talks about like how a day's becoming a week and all the days are fusing together. And that's like basically what it's like for me when I was very ill.
Okay. It's a really beautiful song, and it's really powerful what you say. And I know your little sister as well, and you have a really, really beautiful relationship. And it's really nice that you bring her into this conversation as well, and that you have so much awareness of your illness and that you care about how it impacts on other people around you. And I know that this guilt and stuff is something that we worked on in the sessions that we did together, right?
Yeah.
And it's so interesting how a song can be personal and resonate in a different way for each person. Because when I was listening to it, for me, those lyrics, what was it? That as long as you're here, no one can hurt you. Is that
As long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. Yeah.
As long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. It's like, I felt like it was like me having a conversation with myself and reassuring myself. So the song helped me feel not alone. And I'm also like supported and accompanied by myself, but just in life in general, no? So the power of music. Thank you for bringing us that song. And Billie Eilish, I know that she's wildly popular and successful, and that her lyrics and her music resonate for loads of folk, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked in the first section, we touched on a little bit the fact that you did some private sessions with me, that perhaps you were surprised at such simple things as using the breath that can help you like calm your nervous system. You were talking about how using the breath helps you prepare for exams. So that's something in your mindful toolkit, as I like to call it, that you still use. We've touched a little bit on your eating disorder and that you were hospitalized, but also at the same time you were diagnosed with autism and depression. I'm interested to know how autism affects you, and also where you're at with depression as well, because maybe you're at a different stage than you were a few months ago when we last talked. So let's go for the autism first. Like, how does it affect you?
Well, for me, like, obviously autism is a spectrum. So depending on where you are on the spectrum, you either have it a lot of symptoms, or you either don't have as many. For me, it's mostly I get very anxious when there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of people talking and then I'm trying to do my work. Like, I find that very stressful. I also find it hard with my emotions. So it's actually linked to the eating disorder, because a lot of young girls with autism, there's an article about it. A lot of young girls with autism have problems like finding their emotions, and boys obviously. So they turn to like these other coping mechanisms, like an eating disorder, to sort of feel like they're in control of their emotions in their life. So I think that's also what led the doctors to believe I was autistic. And I also have a lot of social problems at school, making friends and talking. But right now I'm doing quite well.
That's great. Thank you, May. Thank you for being so eloquent. I know a bit about this, of course, because we did private sessions. And I want to say for those listening that it's really beautiful to see May's evolution from when you first came to the sessions and being able to connect the sensations in your body with your emotions, and how by breathing and by doing like different meditations and mindful tools, how over the weeks and months we worked together, that you were like, you had more emotional literacy and you were able to name more what you were feeling, which I can imagine can be quite a relief, but also quite empowering as well.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, I suppose, how, going back to the sessions, how did it feel coming in and learning like meditations and learning how to breathe and stuff? How did you often feel at the end of the sessions when we worked together? I
was a bit skeptical at first when I came into meditation. I think you knew that. I always felt like it was something like I couldn't sort of understand it, you know, because the mind's very powerful. I was like, there's no way you can like, you know, do that. But you know, once
there's no way I could do what, just to be clear.
You could like help me with these things and like help me calm my mind. It was like, it didn't make sense to me really. But then once I tried it made sense. It was like, well, I'm sort of doing it too, you know. As long as I'm accepting and I let you, you know, guide me, then it's sort of, I do it myself.
Yes, you do. Thank you for saying that, because what I'm doing is a supporting role. And for me, for anyone who is interested in any adults or teens as well, but mostly the adults, I'm thinking if you're interested in introducing meditation and mindfulness to your kids, especially teens, because we've got May here who is 14 and when she came to me she was 13, like it's really natural that they're going to have resistance. And I think perhaps because we've got this idea, like, what was your idea of meditation before you came to me?
I thought it was like the Om thing, and you like in the movies, you know, But then I saw it was very
quite
different.
serious, right? And it's quite maybe this adult idea of like you sit still for half an hour and you don't move. Like, what teen is going to want to do that?
Yeah, exactly. But with you, it was different because then you talk and you bring up conversation. It was like, well, I can talk here and I can say things. You know, I don't have to be quiet. I can feel comfortable.
Of course. And for me as well, I touched on this in the first part of this show, that like you've got to meet the young person where they're at. So if you're interested in art and you're interested in music, then we're going to bring those into the meditations or the visualization, and we're going to do some sort of drawing. We're going to do some sort of something that involves your poetry or whatever. And that's exactly what we did. And do you know what? I couldn't tell you exactly now what we did because it was very much in the moment. And for me, it's what I do is so bespoke, and it is a co-collaboration, because then I'm giving you I'm giving you tools, and I'm giving you meditations, and I'm giving you techniques that first of all are interesting for you. And I remember being very happy the day you told me that you thought I was quite fun.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's quite a compliment.
Yeah.
Full transparency, before I started working with you, May, I remember being nervous, but this happens to me often before I start working with a new person. But, you know, I knew your story, and I sometimes, it's not that I doubt my ability, I just care. And I want to do the best for the young person I'm working with. So I remember knowing, and it often happens that with teens for me, the first session is quite a big deal because I know there's going to be that resistance.
Yeah.
And I also believed in myself and my ability to connect with you, which we did, and the massive importance of building up trust. Because if you don't feel comfortable and you don't feel that there's it's a safe space, then you're not going to open up, no? So for me, it's a beautiful experience going on that journey with you and seeing how you're doing now.
Yeah.
And what else did I want to say? I want to ask you about depression. Where are you at with that now? Because I'm someone as well who has when I was a teen, I had a big breakdown. I was a bit older, 16, and I was so anxious that I had so much anxiety that then I had terrible insomnia, and that chronic over time led to depression because I couldn't break the cycle.
Yeah.
And I know you know a bit about this story, but that's why I'm passionate about doing what I do, because I'm giving folk like you the tools that I didn't have when I was young, so you don't have to get stuck in a vicious cycle for so long. But I know that depression can rear its head, it can come back, you know. So I'm wondering where you're at with that now and your relationship with depression.
Yeah,
I know it's something that's relevant. I know it's something that's relevant because a lot of young people struggle with their mental health. So I think it's important that we talk about this, you know?
Yeah. It's for me, depression's like, it's like you said, it's a cycle. It goes up and down. You know, it's sort of, it never ends. You sort of just learn to live with it and learn to get used to it and have tools. Now I'm getting taken off my medication for my depression, so I'm on my last pill. Woo! Which, hopefully within a month I won't have any more, which is a bit worrying also because I don't know how I'll respond to that. But also it's good to, you know, not have any pills to take anymore. And I just do psychology now, and I go to the psychologist, and I focus a lot on my art, which helps me a lot too to calm myself down. And I'm also very open with my parents. They're always willing to listen to me, so that's good too.
It's very powerful, isn't it, to be heard? You know, I think a lot of what we need, and this thing for me about telling our stories, and thank you for being so open and vulnerable, because I do think vulnerability is a strength, and I also think that there will be other people listening to you of all ages who will resonate with what you're saying. And I, you know, having suffered a lot with my mental health as well, I feel seen when I hear someone else's story that is similar to mine.
Yeah.
So that's why for me it's really important to talk to you and to have this conversation so that other people who feel like you can feel less alone and also inspired that these things don't last forever, and even when we are struggling or the struggles come back, that they always pass. You know this expression in Spanish,
Yeah.
like, todo pasa. Like it all it sounds for me less impactful in English. What would it be like? Everything passes? Everything
I guess
passes, no?
Yeah.
Everything passes. And so thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. We're going to keep talking after this next song, but it's time for a song again. And this song you have chosen is I Gotta Find Peace of Mind by Lauryn Hill. Would you like to explain why you chose this song, May?
This is quite a recent discovery. I heard of it like maybe a month ago, and I listened to it and I was like, I really like this. Like, it's really chill, and Lauryn Hill's she's got an interesting story. I mean, there was a time in her life where she went like crazy, and not crazy, but she had a lot of struggles, which I think also very linked to mental health. So I sort of resonate with her. She's also very good at, I'm not sure if you've seen her give a speech or something. No? She's very good with her words. She really knows how to explain things. So I really look up to her as an artist. And this song just helps me relax and calm down. So yeah, I really like it.
Okay, so thank you for that introduction. And the invitation for anyone listening is to sit back and relax and use this as an opportunity to feel calm as well, as May suggests. So we've got I Gotta Find Peace of Mind by Lauryn Hill. Welcome back to the last section of the second show of Meditation for Misfits with your fellow Misfit host, Eilish Chinn, here every second Wednesday, 11 o'clock UK time. I'm here with the lovely May, who is a teenager, and we are talking about mental health and how meditation and mindfulness can empower people like May, which was her experience. She did sessions with me a few months ago. How we can empower young people to better support their own mental health and to not struggle and suffer so much, so that you can really just accept and be who you are and embrace who you are and feel comfortable with who you are, right? So this is a pre-recorded show, but if you've got any questions or you want to message us, or if you've got any feedback from myself or May, you can get us on Instagram at Kinda Sound, or on Telegram, which is t.me/KS Radio. So we were listening to the lovely I Gotta Find Peace of Mind by Lauryn Hill. It's a beautiful song, May. Thank you for bringing it to us. So taking the conversation a bit wider beyond your personal struggles and the fact that you worked with me, we were just talking off air there that for me, it's really important to bring people onto the show that have a different experience to life than me, because then we all get to learn, and I get to ask you questions about experiences that I don't have or I have never had, right? So I have been a teen, but I'm currently not a teen, and I would love to know that right now, no society as it is now, why do you think it's so important to have the kind of conversations we're having just now? Like, why is it important to talk about mental health with teens specifically?
I feel like a lot of teenagers now, especially now with phones and everything, I feel like mental health is really starting to become more of a subject we need to talk about, because phones are at least for me, one of the center of my problems, because I've grown up in one of these generations where everything's sort of about phones, and everything I see on my phone is it affects me, because there's a lot of sensitive stuff on there. And if we don't talk about mental health, then it really just starts to become a problem and people start to get ashamed of it. So if we talk about it and just put it out in the open, then everyone knows that they're not the only ones, that there's other people having the same problems. So they don't feel ashamed when they want to bring it up or if they want to say something about it.
Absolutely. That's very powerful what you say. Thank you. And I'm interested to know, because phones, it's a tough one. Like these days, I understand that parents and carers are going to want their young folk to have phones as a safety thing and as a practical education method, right? But what's the most rubbish thing about having a phone?
Well,
and social media, because I understand when you're talking specifically about social media, no?
Yeah, I mean I guess it's good in a way because you can spread news and then you can spread awareness, but then most of social media is just people taking photos and it's like showing how amazing their life is and everything. And also it's not just that, it's just looking at your phone and having that screen in your face and the light, and it causes a lot of problems, especially with me. Like I find it hard to study if I'm on, I've been looking at my phone. I can't concentrate, I can't sleep well. So phones are fine if you want your kid to have it to be able to call them and also they can call you, but then I feel like there should be restrictions with social media.
Does anyone restrict you or?
No, actually no. So that was the problem. That was I think if I didn't have social media at such a young age, I was 10 when I had it, so it's very young. And I was posting TikToks of me dancing and it's embarrassing looking back now, but I sort of wish I didn't have it because then I wouldn't have been exposed to so much at such a young age. And then maybe the stuff wouldn't have happened to me, which it's possible could have happened anyway, but I think a lot of it was because of social media.
Okay. It's really, really powerful and interesting that you have that awareness, no? Because when we've got awareness of our problems and our struggles, then that's the first way we can change things that aren't feeling good for us, no? And I know that that's something that we explored quite a lot in our sessions as well, no? Because with meditation and with mindfulness, we can start connecting in more to our body and feeling what doesn't feel good and in what situations it doesn't feel good, no? And then when we realize that, I don't know, using my phone is creating a lot of anxiety in my body and I'm feeling it in my tummy, using that information, and then you can employ some sort of breathing technique or some sort of mindful tool to transform that and not suffer so much. So thank you for sharing that. I'm interested to know what you think, because you have peers, you're surrounded by teens every day at school and in your life. You've got specific struggles, but speaking more generally, what do you think your peers' biggest struggles are in terms of mental health?
I think, a lot of the people I go to school with, a lot of them, I don't think other people can see it, but I've sort of gained a superpower after going through everything I have. So I find it easier to see, when someone's struggling. And it's surprising because a lot of people around me, I feel like they are struggling a lot, but they act like they're fine and everything. I know these people in class who have stopped studying and they won't bring homework in or anything. And, they brush it off oh no, it's just because I didn't want to do it. But I know that's maybe there's another reason why. And
how do you know that they're struggling?
Well, I base a lot of it off of my experience, which might not always be accurate, but I just sense it. I don't know. It's honestly just sensing it. I just feel like something's wrong. And a lot of them also, a lot of people right now are struggling with grades. And teachers always say it, and everyone needs to get better. And you see kids getting their exams back and everyone breaks into tears and it's everyone's just trying their best, but I feel like they feel held back by the phone again. I'm going to bring it back up because a lot of them just spend their time on their phone and they don't end up studying, and that's causing a lot of mental health problems for them.
It's like a vicious cycle, no?
Yeah.
Thank you. This is so much rich information, and for a particular reason as well, because I really want these shows to be inspiring, and also there's an element of story and chat, which is what we're doing, an informal chat, but they're also practical. So I'm listening intently to everything that you say, and I'm going to bring this all together and guide a short meditation, which will be suitable for teens and also for adults as well, but specifically focused on all these struggles that you're talking about. Before we go into that, what's your advice for parents? You know, I am not a parent and I'm also not a teen. I've said that before. So from your perspective and your struggles and what you've been through and what you've learned up until today, this point in time, do you have any advice for parents? Not necessarily yours, I just mean parents in general.
Well, I think being a parent's very hard because you worry a lot about your children and how they're doing. And then when you see them suffer, you know, there's only so much you can do and you feel like maybe you're not giving enough. But, I mean, if you see that your child is struggling, like, speak to them, and they're not going to be open the first time, depending on the child, but they usually hold back because, you know, they're teenagers and they don't want to talk about it. So just, like, make sure they know you're there, but don't, like, nag too much, you know, just keep it simple. But even the smallest thing, like, you know, how are you, or tell them to, like, explain how they're doing or talk about their day, that for them makes a big impact.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you very much. And I know the parents listening will appreciate it. We're going to do a short meditation. So you can do this as well, May. So if you want to make sure, as you know from my sessions, but I'm going to say it for anyone who is listening, when you are receiving a meditation, it's really important to have good contact with the ground or with the earth, right? So you can be lying down. And I know that you discovered the delights of lying down meditation a few months ago, and we did that, and you realized that you connected a lot more. So the invitation is absolutely lie down. You can meditate lying down if you want to. And if you're sitting in a chair, put your feet on the floor. Okay, so it's really important that you've got the soles of your feet on the floor. Do you have your feet on the floor?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So for me and for anyone else who is listening, if you feel comfortable to close your eyes, then I invite you to close your eyes. Okay. And if you don't want to close your eyes, then you can just relax your gaze. Really interesting what May said about staring at screens. And this is tiring for our eyes and for our nervous system. But if we relax our gaze and we open everything out, and you can do this whether your eyes are open or closed, we're using our peripheral vision, and that is sending a relaxation signal to our body. Okay. So either eyes open or closed, just allow your eyes to relax. And then you can either do this in your imagination or you can do it for real. We're going to use a mobile phone, but we're going to make it mindful. So if you've got a phone close to hand, you can pick it up and use it. And if not, you can just imagine a phone in your mind's eye. And you're going to hold the phone up how we all usually use it, which is vertically. And you can take a finger and you put it in the top left-hand corner. And as you breathe in, you're going to run your finger along that top edge. And as you breathe out, you're going to run your finger along the longer side edge. So we've got a longer out breath. We're doing this on purpose. When we breathe out and the exhalation is longer, then it also helps us relax. So then we keep breathing, running our finger along the bottom, breathing in, coming up the longer left side, breathing out. And I'm going to leave you doing that for a minute or so. So you breathe in on the short sides and you breathe out on the long sides, either in your imagination or actually using a phone. Breathing in on the short side and breathing out on the long side. And if you're doing this with an actophone, then you can also help the touch with the phone to focus your attention. And let's do 2 more rounds of breaths like this. So breathing in on the short side and breathing out on the long side. And then 1 more. Breathe out on the short side. And then I'm going to invite you to put a hand or 2 hands on the center of your chest. So take a hand up or 2 hands, whatever feels good. And then notice this contact with your hand on your chest. Maybe it feels a bit warm. And as you breathe, you can notice in the center of your chest that there's a gold light. It's gold color. And as you breathe, this gold color and this gold light might just be a really small ball of light to start with. It grows bigger and bigger. And this light is strong and it's powerful. And it fills up your chest. And it doesn't just fill up your chest, it's so strong and powerful and bright that it fills your whole body. So it fills all the way up, filling up your head, down your shoulders, arms and hands. And filling your back, your spine, all the way from the top down to the bottom. Filling up your pelvis and your hips and your legs. And all the way down to your feet. And then from whatever contact points you've got with the ground, you can imagine really strong gold roots going deep down into the ground. So they're coming out of your body if you're lying on the ground, or out of the soles of your feet if you're sitting. And these gold roots go deep. And they're powerful and they help you feel really safe and really stable. And it's also like these gold roots are charging you. Like when a mobile phone has low battery, we charge the phone. Well, what these roots are helping you do, they go down into the earth and then they bring up this charge from the earth and this energy, and they fill you up. So it's like you're a mobile phone getting fully charged. And all this strong, powerful gold light and energy fills your whole body again. And then from your heart, it comes out of your heart and it surrounds you in a protective bubble. So you've got gold above you, below you, to both sides, in front and behind you. And no matter what is going on in the world, you've got your gold roots. And you've got your gold bubble protecting you and keeping you safe and strong in the face of chaos or exams or stress. So you can take your hand now down back into your lap. You can notice how you're feeling now. Notice the effect of the gold color. And then you can slowly start coming out of this meditation. So wiggling your fingers, your toes. And if you've got your eyes closed, then you can slowly start to open them. Welcome back. How are you feeling, May?
Relaxed.
And you've got a smiley face as well, and your face looks really relaxed. Thank you for doing that with me. Two things briefly. The mobile phone breathing part can be done by itself. And the gold color is really protective. So no matter how we're feeling, we can connect to our gold roots. We can imagine we are surrounded by a gold bubble, and we can go into that exam and nail it. Or we can leave the phone on the other side of the room and have a break from social media.
Yeah.
Now, we are almost out of time, but I like to finish the show with just a really brief gratitude practice. No matter how difficult life might be, if we can take a moment to think of one or two things we're grateful for, then perhaps we're going to feel 5% or 10% better, because the power of gratitude is strong. So I would love to know, May, what you're feeling grateful for right now.
I'm feeling grateful for my family, my parents, because they've been very supportive of me.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I am feeling grateful for this conversation. I'm feeling grateful for all the young people in my life that inspire me. And I am feeling grateful for having this show. Thank you so much for coming on, May. We're going to do one final song. This song is a song that you recorded and that you wrote. And just before we play it, I want to say thank you for tuning into the show, anyone who is listening. Remember that the best thing we can possibly be is our truest versions, and we were never meant to fit in, we were meant to stand out. So this is May very much standing out with this song. Would you like to introduce it briefly, a bit about how it came about and what it means to you?
Yeah, this is the first song I recorded professionally, and this song talks about liking a boy, and I'm trying to like remember the lyrics quickly.
That's okay.
It's about liking a boy and then like them not responding the same way like back to you, and then the song's like, I feel like I've been delusional, I've made it up in my head, you know, like being unsure, not knowing how to feel about liking someone.
Amazing. And you channeled all of that into a song. You will hear, listener, that this song is incredibly catchy. Thank you for your time, May. I'll be here again in 2 weeks' time for another edition of Meditation for Misfits and another wonderful interview with an authentic soul. So I will see you then. And here is May's song. What's the name of the song?
Believe.
Here we are with Believe.
Was it real? Or did I dream of